It's classic cartridge time once again, and today we are going back into the Genesis archive. This is Garfield, caught in the act.
Yep.
This is the story of a cat and his dog Odie. Is that right? Is that the dog's name?
Yep.
I was a huge Garfield fan as a kid. I was not a huge Genesis fan, which makes me think you did this on purpose, Victor Lucas. You know, I'm a Super Nintendo guy all the way.
I'm more of a Super Nintendo guy as well, but I've had this cartridge in my collection, and it was always an intriguing game for me, and it was probably because of one particular level. It's called Casablanca, and what they did with this level is they put Garfield in all of his orange fur glory into a black and white level, and I always thought that was an ingenious way to kind of create a new kind of look for a platformer. And Garfield worked as a comic strip for a very long time because it was a very smart, working on multiple levels of intelligence and comedy all the way through. This was a sarcastic cat that always got into trouble and found his way to get out of it, and that's kind of what the video game tries to emulate and replicate.
You know, the thing that really stands out here, and I was kind of surprised to discover this because I'm not a Genesis fan, I admit. This game looks terrific. Like, it looks fantastic, and I kind of can't believe that the Genesis was capable of making games that looked this good.
Well, and this was from Sega themselves, and they did make some great-looking games. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog was always a beautiful game in 2D, and they were able to create the cartoony look of stuff, so it was cool to see games like this and Earthworm Jim, where cartoon Saturday morning cartoon kind of animation was approached. It never quite got there, and this isn't as good as the best stuff that hit the Genesis either, but it's pretty darn solid. There are some glitches, there are some collision detection issues, some of the levels are a little bit too challenging. I think the standout level still, when I play it again, is absolutely the Casablanca level.
You just like saying Casablanca, I know.
And I like the jazzy sort of music, and I like that there's like a whole art asset kind of sweeping change per level like that. That was always kind of the big hook when you're playing video games back then, was like, what am I going to see now? Where are you going to take me to now?
Am I going to see something I've never seen before? And you know, the other game I can't help but conjure this from having played this is Beanox. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, which did the same thing, very similar concept. Took Spider-Man through a lot of different eras in comic book history, in Spider-Man history. I mean, that seems to be what's happening with these classic carts for me. Makes me want to go and play games that are similar to this, or games that may have inspired games in the future that we've appreciated.
Well, this is why we're doing this segment. I want to have the discussion about the relevancy of titles like this. This isn't one that I would immediately rush out to go and get, but it was fun to venture back into Garfield 9. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I think it's fun for one night. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.